Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we're going to make this fun African-inspired card, and we are going to do some ink blending, and we're going to use stamps from our sponsor, Rubber Stamp Tapestry. You can find them online at pegstamps.com, and in the video description I will have a link to join their VIP newsletter, or you can get a 20% off coupon instantly. So go check that out if you like free tutorials and all kinds of good crafty stuff. We're going to be using Distress Oxides, but you could also use regular Distress ink or whatever ink you have, honestly. You're going to need a couple Post-it notes and some cardstock. I'm using black cardstock for the base and white cardstock for the stamping. Here are the stamp sets we're going to use. This is the African Zoo Animal Peg Stamp set, and this is the trees set that I designed from them a couple months ago. We're going to be using these two kind of Serengeti trees. I think they're really pretty and they're a nice silhouette stamp. So the first thing you're going to want to do is put something down on your work surface because we are going to get inky. So I'm just using a piece of just a scrap of paper, and the paper that I'm going to be working on here is 4 inches by 5 1/4. So when I mat that up onto a regular A2 size card, I'm going to have a nice like 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch border all the way around, depending on how accurate your paper cutter is. Mine's not totally accurate, so sometimes it's a little bigger, sometimes it's a little smaller, but as long as it's relatively even, you'll be good. First thing we're going to do is stick down a round Post-it note. So what I did was I took a regular Post-it note and I just die cut, I'd say it's about 1.5 inch circle. I'm going to put that wherever you want your sun to be, basically. And then you want to grab your lightest yellow ink that you're going to be using. So I used, I'm using Wild Honey, Spice Marmalade, and Candied Apple for my my inking colors. I'm using a brush, but if you want to use a sponge, go right ahead. I am just a little bit more proficient with a brush. Oop, this one's shedding a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and give a coating of this lighter yellow all over my cardstock. Don't worry if this first layer is not even, because we're going to be adding to it and it will just kind of work itself out as we go along, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Now I'm going to be adding this Spice Marmalade, which is kind of a more orangey yellow, and I'm going to leave like kind of a strip of light in the middle, so I'm adding this towards the top of my card here. And I'm also going to add it towards the bottom. I do find that Distress ink pads need to be re-inked more often. I haven't re-inked mine, but I did get re-inkers for them because I've noticed they've started to feel a little dry. I don't like to re-ink them right before I do a project though, because then you run the risk of getting streaks. So I'll just re-ink mine when I'm done this project, so it will be ready for next time. So just keep that in mind. Anytime you're going to re-ink an ink pad, do it when you have a little time to wait before your next project. Now I'm going to grab the red, and I'm going to switch to a different ink brush, because I just have like a brush for every color family, and I have a separate one for Distress Oxides and a separate one for my regular inks. And now I'm going to take this Candied Apple. Is that the color? Oh, you know what? That's Fired Brick. Fired Brick would work, but I used Candied Apple on the other one, so that's what I'm going to use here. I thought I might use both of them, but I really didn't need it. And I'm just going to hold on top of the Post-it note so I don't leave fingerprints on my card. Okay, and then you can do a little bit of that down here, but we are actually going to do something a little bit tricky. What we're going to do is we're going to lift up our Post-it note and we're going to set it down underneath so we get a little bit of a mirror effect. And then, let's see, bring it down to about here, I'd say. And then we're going to take another Post-it note. You'll need a bigger one for this. And we're going to tear it. And then we are going to stick that right, we got to make sure we get our sticky down here. I'm just going to look at my other card here for reference. So I'm going to set that down there. And it doesn't want to stick. It doesn't want to stick because the Distress ink is a little bit greasy. There we go. And then I am going to stick this Post-it note here. I'm going to figure out where I want this water line to be. And I got to make sure it's fairly level. So take your time to make sure you've got a level positioning there. And then we are going to grab the red again, the red ink brush and the red ink, and we are going to brush over that. Oh, and it wants to move on me, but that's alright because this is a reflection in like a river, so if it's a little bit smudgy, that's fine. Okay. So we're going to keep this mask though because we're going to use it again. We are going to put it down like this. That's going to give us a pretty big mountain. I don't know if I want that much of a mountain. I think I might even that off a little bit. We'll go like that. And then we're going to take our black soot distress oxide or whatever ink you're using. It doesn't have to be distress. And I'm actually going to apply this directly with the pad because that's going to give me a nice thick opaque coverage. And then I will grab my brush and blend it. It's just easier to lay down a lot of ink when you go right from the pad. It's not possible all the time though because it can make a big mess if you're not careful. Alright, so we've got that in there. That's our foreground. Then what we're going to do is we are going to position our mask over the water area to protect that. And we're going to grab our other half of our post-it note that we tore. And we are going to stick that down in some sort of an interesting pattern. Kind of like that, I think would look nice. And this time we are going to use our brush because it might be kind of awkward to get in there with a pad and we might, if anything moves, we could end up with a mess. And you can see that my sticky doesn't want to stick very well. I'm going to see if I can get it to stick on the paper backing there. And we're just going to apply a good amount of ink here. And this is going to give us a, kind of like some land in the distance there. Maybe some sand dunes, I'm not sure. Okay. There we go. And then to make this look a little bit more realistic, what we're going to do is we are going to take our light yellow ink again and our ink brush, and we're just going to give this a little bit of a dust on the sun so it's not super glaring white. There we go. Just tones it down a little bit because that was pretty strong. So then we're going to use our tree stamps here. So we've got one that is that's taller, and we want to put that one closest to the viewer because with perspective you would see things that are closer to you a lot bigger. So we're going to ink that up and we're going to stamp that over here. Let's do that over here. We can let it go off the paper a little bit. Okay, and then if you have an issue like that, you can go in with your ink pad and just kind of, actually, you know what? I'm just going to mask that off a little bit there and go in with the ink pad because we don't want our tree hovering. And I can go in just like that and fix that up, no problem. There, so it looks like it's belongs there. And then we'll take the other one that's a little bit smaller and we'll stamp that on the far away riverbank in the back. So we'll put him up there. So we got that nice silhouette in front of the sun. There we go. But I still think it'd be too far away to be reflecting in the water. Otherwise you could use a mirror stamp, but I want to use this area here to stamp on a couple little elephants because I thought that would be really, really cute. So we'll get the mama elephant. Got to make sure. So you see there's probably about 1/8 of an inch there between the bottom of the feet and the bottom of the round. So you want to make sure when you line that up here that it's going to not have the elephant in the air. So you just want to make sure you sink him down enough. Perfect. I might need to use a pen to connect that a little bit because it does look like he's a little bit high. And then we're going to do that again with the baby. There we go. And I think that's really cute. You could do other elements as well. And before you turn this into a card, I highly suggest you heat set it because you can see some of the ink is still a little bit wet here. To finish up the card, all I'm going to do is put some adhesive onto a piece of black cardstock here. And the reason I do it this way is because I really don't want to flip this around. I want to make sure that it's got plenty of time to set, for that ink to set, and then I'm just going to gently kind of press it in place. And well, I don't seem to be getting any ink on my fingers, so that's a good thing. So this actually, I'm going to tell you what I liked about the first one a little bit better so that you can alter it when you go to make yours. I like how that I had the tree up a little bit higher and it and there wasn't so much like land behind that, so I got a prettier silhouette there. I didn't like that I stamped the giraffe and the zebra here because they were not silhouette shapes, but I can just go in there with a black pen and fill that in if I want to. So after I stamped those two in there, I wish that I hadn't, because I really like the way it looked with just the two elephants. But when I did it here, I tore a different post-it note and I ended up with a big bump over there, and it did kind of mess up the look of that, but I think it's still a decent card, and you can definitely see the technique from that. So I hope you give it a try. It's a lot of fun, and it would make a great birthday card or Father's Day card, I think, and just a fun one to practice your ink blending with, especially if you are new to using these brushes, or if you want to practice with a sponge. That would be a great card to do that with as well. I want to thank you so much for watching today. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and check out our sponsor, Rubber Stamp Tapestry. You can find them at pegstamps.com. Don't forget to check out the video description to find out how you can save 20%. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.